It's come to the... Oh, wait, I already said this. Hey, Champions of Khandia, Episode 3, High Hopes. I don't have any. No further commentary needed. Yes, the local executor. Oh yeah, I didn't talk about viewports earlier. I guess I can talk about that. Man. A very wordy way to say that he died. He martyred or whatever. I still can't believe... Hermit Archon sounds so goofy just to say, like, phonetically, before you even consider the idea of a hermit. Oh, so we are on IR. Okay, confirmed. I was pretty sure we were. How does he know it could be possibly by a cerebrate? We know that because we were metagamed a transmission from Gorn, but it's not like this guy was privy to that information. Epicentrum. I wonder if that is a word. That could be a word, I guess. I will say that unfortunately I am getting vile aggression vibes from the way that the dialogue is written, where it seems like there's a lot of synonyms and fucking... like overly arcane words. I'm an arcanist myself. I do a lot of arcane writing when I'm writing some certain kinds of characters, but I think maybe the issue could be downstream of being English as a second language, but I think Andrew Rose is fairly up there in years now, so it's not the same as like maybe somebody who's 18 and has only been learning English primarily for a couple of years or something, right? So still should be sufficiently worldly and knowledgeable at this point. So I'm not really sure. I can't really place my finger on it just yet. I'll try to pay a bit more attention to the diction used, so that maybe I can come away with it with some potentially useful observation. However, I will talk about the placeholder or the viewport character, the player character. So viewport characters never really were good. They never made any sense. They were used basically because people didn't know how to tell stories in video games, and I shouldn't have said didn't because they still don't, but something that you can keep track of yourself is how many times a viewport character, for example, has to actually do something or sign off on something. Like this is very plainly obvious, for example, in Rebel Yell or in The Fall, the original campaigns. So Rebel Yell, the Terran campaign, you make the decision to join Raynor, but it's basically like made for you, right? Because you don't make the decision as the player, your character does. But your character is supposed to be you, the player. So it becomes very confusing. Obviously, there's no dialogue or anything like that. But there are still consequences downstream of a player or of a character making decisions. And that character is supposed to be the player instead of being a character, yet they still act like a character in some cases, right? So there's that inconsistency, that de facto thing that just doesn't work, right? Is a very obvious flaw, and I would say plot hole, basically, but applying it specifically to a character, right? So there's just this critical issue where you basically have cognitive dissonance on a writing level. And a utility level, like how you're using the character. So we would also extend that to The Fall, where obviously the executor makes the decision to join Tassadar and support Tassadar, except you don't make that decision, obviously. And I'm not even arguing that you should have. I don't actually believe that makes any sense. Like, there's more issues I take with the plot of the campaign, way more issues before we get to the point of, like, should you have sided with Tassadar or should you have been presented with an option? Because obviously when you're presenting the player with choice, something of that magnitude anyway is going to have downstream consequences where you have to then change different missions and maybe go on a completely different mission entirely, where the scope creep sets in and you start to become a little bit less sure that you'll be able to finish a mission or something, finish a story. So that can easily get out of hand. So I'm not arguing that the player choice should be factored in here. But if the player is supposed to be the viewport character, and there's no other reason to use a viewport character, that is the whole conceit of the viewport character, is that it's actually you, the player. If that's really the reason, then obviously what should have happened is that they should just be talked at instead of making decisions that massively impact the story. And that's where I think like the whole thing falls apart, because the player's always going to be making decisions that massively impact the story. And that's why you just have a protagonist that the player follows, that the player is attached to, you could say, where the player is commanding the same army that is being commanded by a protagonist in universe, and that character has dialogue, has motivations, and is relatable enough that the player can understand them, even if they don't necessarily agree with them on a moral sense, or even like them as a character. They might think that they're like an anti-hero or detestable or flawed, but if they can at least understand them, then they understand why the character is doing what they're doing, and thus they don't have any like internal confusion about why they happen to be doing stuff. Now, again, I sort of understood what I was doing in this case, but remember that executor was basically never said. I think maybe it was said in a couple lines of dialogue. It's hard to remember because obviously there's no voice acting and I'm trying to play. But I don't believe it was said too much. For the most part, for example, in that cutscene at the end of the second mission, all of the dialogue, if not, well, I would say most, if not all, but I can't remember exactly. It definitely felt more like an interpersonal scene between two characters, Zolix and Rastaban. And when you have that situation, but there's also a viewport character that you sometimes address, it feels like it's just there for convenience of writing because you were too lazy to make it so that Zolix was just the protagonist. That's the most confusing thing about the usage in this campaign. Zolix could just be the main guy. He could have been the character that was being discussed or talked at by Man in the first briefing, because he's not even introduced until you get in-game and you're paused and you're forced to sit through an extension of the briefing in-game. That's when Zolix is introduced. And that's why it's really confusing to me. It's like really bizarre that Zolix wasn't just the protagonist in general. He seems to be functioning like a protagonist would. Sort of like how Raynor sort of was for a little while in boot camp, not boot camp, Rebel Yell. Sort of like Tassadar started to towards the last half of the fall. And sort of like Kerrigan was for a moment, but then the Overmind was sort of, and well, the Zerg one was a bit weirder, I guess. When you're looking at all of this, right, I just feel like there's no reason to use a viewport character anyway. Like, I've never seen it used well. I've never seen it leveraged well. It always has some really confusing elements where the viewport character is the player character, but it's making decisions like a normal character would, except then like they're just addressed and dismissed, and they can't like give voice to it because they don't have dialogue, because they can't have dialogue because they're not a real character, but then they still make choices like a real character would. Like you get the idea. So it's almost like presented as if you're the player, but you're the character, but you have no actual choice because it's all prescripted. And that's how it has to be for a linear story, and that's fine. But then don't present it like it's a real character, or don't present it like it's a player. Present it as if it were a real character. Like pick one basically, because you're jockeying back and forth there. I would even go so far as to say that like you should just have a character that like plugs into the fucking command matrix or something, and use that as your writing device, your narrative device. You know, a character that is the protagonist of a story that plugs into the control scheme, so that what the player is actually doing is accounted for in universe by virtue of the like units responding to orders that are issued through this control scheme. Like that makes perfect sense, doesn't it? Like, hello. I don't really understand why people don't go that approach more often. That's an approach I plan on using a lot in my own writing. So it seems like a very natural angle. I know Escatumesk, when we were talking about stories in the Big Boys Table podcast, now probably 2 years ago, as of the time of recording this, he mentioned that he had an AI as the player character, and wasn't a character, didn't make decisions beyond what the player was allowed to make, obviously, but wasn't treated as a character, was still addressed occasionally. So that was an interesting take on the viewport character. I still don't know if I would have appreciated it. I only have the concepts that he's shared with me. I don't have actual content to look at, or a complete narrative to sort of sink my teeth into in that sense, and then examine afterwards. But at least then you have an explanation for why the command interface exists, instead of it just being this abstraction that we take for granted. And again, you can take the abstraction for granted. If you don't mention it, people aren't going to think about it because it's just accepted now. But the viewport thing always destroys immersion just because of the aforementioned issues of the conflict between character and not character. And since they're trying to be both at different times in the actual plot, that obviously makes a pretty big difference, doesn't it? I don't think there's really anything else of note here. We're approaching the base that was otherwise indestructible, which means we're probably going to get see the gimmick. Now, again, I was a little bit more... I was suspicious of a gimmick. Now I'm basically certain there will be a gimmick, and I'm just hoping it's not one that's really annoying. Because ultimately, I haven't been able to play an RTS yet. I couldn't build gateways in the first mission, and I couldn't harvest resources naturally in the second mission. So... you know what I mean. Like, at this point, we haven't actually been able to engage in RTS gameplay unfettered, even close to being unfettered, and in 2 maps. And most people will just tune out after the first map when you spend most of the map running around in these tiny corridors and in turbo-gimmicked land where borrowed units are blocking building. Jesus. Bring a crystal and a high Templar to each of the beacons surrounding the Mesa of Arkentalo. However you say that. Zolix and Man must survive. Oh, we get control of Man. He's just an arbiter, of course. Executor, the crystals are stored at the beacon. We shall use our probes to pick them up and carry them to their destinations. Oh, this is... I've actually seen a mini-map preview of this image, or of this map, at some point a long time ago. And it's basically AIDS. It's obviously just like copy-paste from... oh, now that he's dead, we can train High Templar. Dude, that's epic. Why couldn't he have died sooner? Why couldn't he have died before the campaign started? I don't think we're passing the dumb test here. Once I get enough money, I will confirm that, of course. Where was I going with that? I guess I'll scout with this dude, since he's got leg enhancements.
Your command, as you will.
This base is punch-worthy.
As you will.
If you got punched at work, it wasn't me, but deserved. What else we got? He's got, like, fucked terrain here that he probably thought was really nice decor, but that's just, like, obviously bugged. All this stuff is unbuildable. Not that we probably need to worry about building. Yeah, this mission actually reminds me a lot of that mission from Lard. Wow. Just go ahead and use this for my own purposes, won't I? A literal 3 made this map. Alright, here we go. Dumb test. Yes, we actually did not pass the dumb test. It looks like we could have been 1 down for more better harvesting. I guess it would have been away from the assimilator, so it's a bit... yeah, I wonder, actually, would I have picked this location myself? Oh, no! We could also be further to the right. Okay, and I mean, we couldn't because there's this one unbuildable fuck you tile. But we could have been further to the right, so this is 100% dumb test. I don't know if he actually expects us to expand to a base with 3 mineral fields. This isn't... it's not like I'm playing as Zerg, so... Brutalized. Stay up here and get another. I don't really have any immediate thoughts on this. Obviously, I haven't been attacked yet. I guess I'll move Man up there and he can defend. And we'll just move these guys up. I'm pretty miffed about the lack of legit expansions. I guess I can scout it. This mission does remind me a lot of that drawing the web mission in Brood War. It seems like it's copy-paste, basically, with the layout so far. If you remember anything about that mission, you had 2 expansions. Except there was at least gas. And I also had access to Stargate tech. Or didn't have access to air units, is what I meant to say there. So there is that as well. Pretty embarrassing. Oh yeah, actually, with the beacons and stuff, this is literally the same mission. You're just playing as a different race. And it looks like we... I recall there being some some praise levied at Andrew Rosa for because this is how far we've fallen as a species. There was some praise levied at him for disabling shuttles to prevent. It's actually just Zerg campaign easy again. Holy shit! For disabling shuttles to prevent players from interacting with the base in the middle. Obviously, pretty embarrassing stuff. I guess we can corroborate that once we have some cash. But this is like. So when I talk about in the video, in the proper video, that this is obviously derivative from, and that this content was all recorded for the purpose of, I talk about an experience meaningfully distinct from what we've already played, so that there's actually some value in playing it. Because there's no value in playing the original campaigns. They don't justify their own time. They don't compete for your time as a player. And so you need to do something better. It's very, very possible to do something better. And really the only reason why you get people who disagree with this are in cases where you have people who, as far as I can tell, they're lying to themselves. This is good. As far as I can tell, they're lying to themselves because they are just telling lies about quality, right? So they're basically saying stuff like, oh, the Blizzard campaigns were actually worthwhile. And they're actually good. And people should be trying to make stuff that's, you know, like Blizzard stuff. And the more they tell themselves that, the less they can be held responsible for actual content development. Now, again, you do have to poison the well a little bit to believe that, but at this point I can't imagine any other example for why Zerg Campaign Easy would be the approach. Like, it's pretty ridiculous. I'm still waking up, I think, because my mouse movement is pretty slow. So we do have two gases in our main, both at relatively similar positions. Anyway, the point I was talking about regarding the Blizzard quality meme is we are sat here stuck playing a map that's literally identical to another mission that Blizzard made, and it doesn't appear that the developer considered why that would be a bad thing, and thinks this is actually a good thing, as far as I can tell. Like, I mean, the fact that he made it surely implies that there's value to be had in the experience of playing the original campaign, which is demonstrably false when you know about RTS design. So I'm just confused. Like, I would like to know, you know, I'd like to know what happened here. Looks like we have Psystorm researched already. Yeah. I guess the thing that really bothers me the most about content like this is that it really is just so derivative, so as to not be particularly inspiring, right? And you're stuck looking at... I think you're stuck looking at content that is just... It's not trying to do anything differently. It's not trying to aspire to something greater. In this case, we are literally playing Cargo Cult Brood War. And Brood War's campaigns were some of the worst RTS content that Blizzard would ever produce. And this is coming from a company that has built StarCraft 2, Warcraft 3, like... It's pretty tough act to follow, to be honest. Pretty embarrassing when I have to click on a unit's stats to see what upgrades they have. Like, upgrades are just an anathema to actual gameplay, aren't they? I think maybe maybe that's another issue, is that people just haven't experienced anything better, so they don't really realize, like, how far down the fucking totem pole we are. I was building a pylon, actually. But I'll build some more just for you. Alright, I think we'll just jump over here now. I'm assuming we don't have to deal with, like... It's just this crystal in place, so... with any luck, we can just avoid this area now. The number of Ultralisks is certainly quite concerning. It would still behoove me to get rid of that. Nice RNG. It would certainly behoove me to get rid of that base just to get out of having to deal with some more junk, but I don't really have a lot of build space here. I wonder how I'll actually be able to. I think I can do stuff like this, but yeah, I can't build that much up here, can I? Oh, this stuff isn't unbuildable. I thought this was like a tile that was pulled from... Oh, God. Yeah, I thought that was a tile pulled from a ramp or something. Oh, correction. I can't really place too many gateways up here, though. Like, what the fuck? I guess I can put some cannons along this ridge to help me out when dealing with defensive shuffles. I think I can put, like, 2 gateways here, yeah. That's still more than I would have had otherwise, though, so... Can't believe an extra 3 seconds must be waited. Also, there's no base over here, as far as I was able to scout. I don't know if... oh, no, they won't use lurkers, because Andrew Rose is allergic to Brood War. Even though he's copying a Brood War mission. Ha! What a prankster. Alright, the question is, should we even bother with that? Wow, this really is the same mission! Like, he didn't even try to be original. The one thing he has done is he's removed a base that was over here. Maybe it's on the high ground or something. What's happening over here? Pathfind my champions. Yeah, when you have Zerg AI, they just tend to behave in much more hyperactive ways. At least we've managed to theoretically intercept some of their shit. Daily reminder that armor classes are a meme. Thought I just saw an Ultralisk. It's a Phantom. These guys are still going. I guess I should probably get shields tier 2. Oh wow, I'm not even 3-3 yet. Now I am, but that's pretty impressive. Protoss units are a good fucking A-move force. Wonder if I can win this mission without... Yeah, he did just disable shuttles prank. If I can win this mission without training anything else, that would be pretty funny. Oh, actually, why don't you come over here? Because we're going to need you to... There you go. Not that many resources here, but we'll take them. Alright, this is where I think it does definitely behoove me to... Oh wait, we'll just attack up here actually, because this is where the static defense is. Yeah, this is where it definitely helps to get rid of this. Just because there's like a single hatchery up here, so they'll just keep defending it and using this as a stronghold. Actually, leave these guys down here. Start mixing our control groups now, it doesn't matter nearly as much. Fuck that drone! I have to consider my building placement pretty carefully because there's like no fucking... Well, there's no fucking... Is there? A fuckless campaign. As not to be confused with feckless, of course. What can I actually get from a Stargate? What is the point of getting this? I'll build it as a meme because I actually have money this time, but... Alright, this is where we'll do this. Start distance mining. There you go. Okay, let's come back over here. These guys can start attacking over in this direction. Alongside those. I'm not even going to bother fixing those probes. They can go fuck themselves. Along with Blizzard. My cannons will take care of that idiot. Shields 3 is about to finish, which is pretty cool. I guess since I have so much gas, I could actually start churning out some... I can make scouts, and obviously Corsairs are not normally enabled if you play this the way that the author intended, which is apparently for you to not play. That's the only way that I can imagine there was some intention. Let's get this. Does queuing work? It does, okay. Hopefully that's consistent. Nice fucking broken tile. Really adds to my immersion, you know? Oh, this looks like it was a piss-easy mission. There's obviously a lot of annoying issues with pathfinding and stuff. I don't know what the fuck that sound was. I didn't even attack anything. Yeah, I can't seem to pathfind, unfortunately. It's weird that my probe gets consumed by the... Maybe the error sound was the Pathfinder. I would believe that, actually. Alright, I think we're fully upgraded now. I guess I'll get observers. I really can't believe he gave you, like... It's just a slap in the face to give the player access to only fucking scouts. And then say, yeah, you can still use air units, though. What if I actually made an army of scouts and then attacked the central base? Like, what would be the reaction? Because it's possible. Scouts are actually pretty busted when you have full upgrades. It's just that they're so expensive that under normal circumstances you can't make them, but I have so many resources it wouldn't matter that much. I kind of am curious about that, but I don't know if I'm curious enough to warrant doing it. I think we'll just start stationing our units a bit more out there. These guys are idle now, so... I wonder if he also copied the lazy geyser placement over here. Those guys aren't idle yet. What do we even do at this point? I'm assuming this mission has the same issue as the other mission where, oh, I guess I can take one of these spazzers and, just do that. I guess we'll just start leaving. Yeah, this has the same issue as before, where you can't progress past this point, so you have to go all the way around. I can't remember if there was 6 or 5 where you had to bring Duran. At least I don't have to bring a hero. That's less error prone. Alright. Oh yeah, Ruins isn't buildable normally. Nice fucking game. Is there any area with a lot of build space? I guess over here. Start farming my fucking scouts. Wait. Math. There you go. Draw a little satanic symbol. These guys are no longer very useful over in that position, so I'll just move them over. Oh, I guess I'll protect my Stargates as they get set up. I'll just put some cannons down later. Oh. I don't know. I didn't hear any noises. Maybe it's actually fine. No, they are definitely. Oh, coming over here. Nice guys. This is pretty funny. Just a fucking Zergling massacre. Oh, I needed that. Well, off we go. Another one. Would you attack units, please? Here we go, another wave of only Zerglings. Very threatening. The animation delay really kills me. What the fuck? Wow, what is that? Don't show me that. What's wrong with you? Where'd my... I don't know where he went. He's gone. He's left the map. Where did he go? Oh, he's just stuck again. Whatever. Just go over here. Oh, there is a base over here. He moved it. No, I accidentally attacked a base. pretty hard not to like trip over and fall into an enemy base at this point, though. Like Jesus. Oh, I can't get scout speed. That is kind of annoying because unless they're just there by default, because obviously I have no access to fleet beacons. Like on the one hand, he gave you access to scouts, but on the other hand, he denied scout upgrades. So why? Like, is the scout thing just a bit then? Is it like a funny thing that he thought it was like a good haha or something? But I can sort of imagine that was the case. I was like, oh, isn't it funny if I give the player scouts and then don't give them any way to make them useful? Just build those cannons, and I think I'll just go grab this and do that. Meanwhile, I will grab this and build that. And then I'll send like these units down here to clear this out so I don't get owned. The fucking broken tiles do not make this map look any better. I don't know what the fuck was going on there. Alright, the question is, like, do I guess I can just build a pylon here, and then like 2 cannons here or something. That should do it. Pretty funny that this UI is so busted by default that you get the situation where you can't even see how many resources you have in single area. Alright, I got my 12 scouts. Hey, get back here, I'm slow. And do no damage currently. There you go. Oh, we can only get tier 1 upgrades. Yeah, my mistake. Yeah, okay, so these guys are just a meme. Oh, they're pretty tanky with 3 shields. Let's see what we can do. I didn't even notice how many were coming. I wonder if it's still possible. I mean, it's definitely still possible. Unless he made the structures invulnerable, it's possible. But this is just embarrassing. Like, it's so transparent. You're not allowed to play the game the way you want to. Ha ha! Nah, I'm not fast enough. I can just tank all of the shots because scouts. That is really funny, though. That's pretty impressive. Yeah, look how much more aggro they are with defense. Like, if they attacked me with a wave like that, that would actually be potentially not lethal. I guess that could actually kill a hero or something. But they would never do that because they're just an obstacle as opposed to an actual enemy. That's very funny. I seem to have poked the beehive. Don't worry, we'll get him eventually. I shouldn't build any more probes at this point just because of the lack of resources that are currently present. Yeah, I'm sure those guys will wake up at some point. Oh yeah, this is a good idea. So your AI is very functional. Go ahead and screenshot that one as well. There's a good shot of what's going on here. Yeah, there's a lot of effort put into this map. I don't know if you guys knew that.
Receiving. Your warriors have engaged the enemy. Transmitted. Awaiting instructions. Receiving.
I suppose now that we are getting into lower mineral territory, I should probably spend a bit more. Well, first of all, I should get my scouts and get them over here, because they might actually be necessary at some point. I don't think so, though. Why are you guys stuck over here? I just flew over an ocean of hydras that never got picked up. How do they even still see? Oh, they see me because of Parasite. Okay, never mind. we go. Oh, they're 3-3. Well, there goes my scouts. This is a valid use for them, I think. Yeah, so Red's just a piece of shit, basically. He's, like, not actually here to play the game or anything. He's just here to grief me. There you go. And Broodlings. Don't know what that was. It looks like it's Zealot because I don't see a Dragoon Corpse. Alright, well, we're basically done, so we'll just finish our move. Imagine deciding you're going to modify the terrain, but then not... I just killed my observer, by the way. Doesn't matter, though. You're not going to modify the ramp sizes. Those aren't necessary. Yeah, I guess so all the spore colonies are actually for show outside of the one area where they theoretically are a bit more... Come on. I think we got all of them in control groups now. They pathfound into another fucking enemy unit. Oh, there's another base over here. I think that's another diversion from the original planning. Hats off.
Your warriors have engaged the enemy.
Oh boy. I probably should have just pulled back here, but whatever. Yeah, Braun was just a pushover the whole way through. Oh, he is getting Brood War upgrades, which is interesting. Wouldn't have expected that. I wonder if he's running a Brood War... No, he couldn't have run a Brood War AI script, because that would have set the map to... No, actually, I don't know what happened there. Because this is another SCM file, I'm pretty sure. I know about that one. Let's, because I don't feel like pathfinding a fucking unit all the way up there, I'll just recall it. And, that's obviously quite dangerous. Oh, I suppose I could have recalled ground units onto the mainland. I would have gotten owned by Scourge, probably, but... Wait, is recall even enabled? Hold on. Hold on. No! Okay, it's not. This is a situation where he's like, I thought of everything. Except for gameplay, though. You didn't think of that. This is... Whatever the fuck is going on here is ridiculous. Alright, bye. This looks reasonable. Alright, well, Brown got it, but Red did not. I wonder if maybe that's why Brown was so dumb, is because he was like a Brood War script that was running... I don't know what the fuck. Whatever was happening, it wasn't pretty... It wasn't... Yeah, it wasn't pretty. It wasn't reasonable. Well, there we go. An enemy that was just here to slow us down, and an enemy that was just here to occupy space on the map. We poked the bear to see what would happen. It was comical, and just exposed that, once again, there was no interest. This is malicious. There was no interest in designing gameplay. Now, it does. Don't get me wrong. It does take time to manually place all of these tiles. I know, because most of my maps are made up entirely of manually placed tiles, but they're broken. Like, they don't function. They don't blend. And they obviously interrupt a bunch of other stuff. I had to bring a High Templar to each location. Not only is this slow, but... Yeah, I think I'll just... What is the 4-3? Oh my god. Oh, the Zerg will likely ignore him. That must mean is invulnerable. Let's take a look. Why would the Zerg likely ignore him? Surely, if they were actually an opponent that was trying to stop you, they would do anything but. Jesus. Alright, let's get on with this. I think these sound effects are just from his favorite game or something. I'm glad I'm just getting paused in the middle of what could have been actual gameplay if I hadn't wiped the entire map. Also, Mandelius has done nothing to imply, or he's got all of the work ahead of him to demonstrate that the Psionic Hurricane would doom us all. So that's just like some junk from Todd Eris or something. Let's see if there's another pause so I don't break a trigger. It's pretty embarrassing that that even could happen, theoretically. We are exactly not in the hands of a Dune. We clearly are not in the hands of a Dune. We just did all of this work so that we didn't have to deal with that. Okay, bye. Nice creep. What the fuck? This just comes out of complete nowhere. Wow, this really comes out of left field. Whew, I guess he thought that that sequence was supposed to be epic and satisfying, but it was just a bunch of Archons being spawned everywhere, obviously. Also, the music was still playing in the background, because by default, you can't turn off music. You have to, like, use a different music system entirely. Which is just another reason to not use Brood War at all, really. But if you're gonna try to have, like, epic music moments and stuff, then you basically need to find some alternative system, obviously. Like, you can't just leave it like it is, and so that the music is clashing in the background. My volume is still, you know, surely it is low for the purpose of recording and commentary, but I can still hear that on my end. I can still hear the bass music. So muting is not going to be sufficient, homie. Man. There's so much to be said about, like, how much more satisfying it would have been if you, like... I'll use the Star Sovereign from Cosmonarchy Brood War as, like, an example, because even though it's my own project, so there's always that element of, like, oh, you're using your own project as an example of something high quality. I'm just talking about conceptually. Like, imagine the concept of unlocking the Star Sovereign. I don't believe in tech restrictions, but unlocking the Star Sovereign for this particular mission. And this mission being about, like, all right, we're using this forbidden weapon or something, and it's going to be very sorrowful. And I mean, that's the whole identity of the unit anyway in my lore. But if you just look at like this mission, imagine actually glassing the fucking Zerg. Imagine using that because you can't, like, it doesn't seem possible to breach it anyway. You still have to make the opponent actually competent. Like, the only reason why they built this impenetrable fortress is not because they didn't even build it. It was just pre-placed for them. It's not like they tightened the... it's not like we tried anything. We didn't see any evidence of it being attacked. So it has no impact when it's then destroyed in a cutscene after we annihilated the sort of surrounding thing. And obviously the fact that this is just a copy-paste fucking... This is a Brood War alternate mission, dude. This is Protoss using... playing Drawing of the Web instead of Zerg, you know, led by Duran. That's what this is. This is like... And Unity Commander would have at least made the AI actually competent to some degree. It would have made some custom AI, would have had some custom text. Like, there would have been even more value in something like that. And that's literally Brood War Alternate. Like, this is a poor man's Brood War Alternate, man. Ah, shit. Jesus. Yeah, conceptually, the mission just doesn't land because it's just a carbon copy of something else. Obviously, that's just in conceptual level. There were some changes to the layout, but none of them were really that positive. Like, he actually made it harder to access the base. And I suppose maybe it was moderately more defensible. Not really. I think maybe that's why scouts were enabled, even though they only had access to tier 1 upgrades and couldn't get past... what do you call it? It couldn't unlock the speed or anything. They were probably just there to defend against Guardians, because Red would occasionally use Guardians, and so probably during testing he got annihilated by that, and then said, well, scouts at tier 1 will never be strong enough to defeat my army of fucking Scourge. I could have actually pierced through that a bit more if I bothered building Corsairs. Obviously, with enough Corsairs, you just one-shot a Scourge, even if it is 3-3, and you're 1-1. But I wasn't going to bother doing that. Just because it wasn't really worthwhile, and there was a legitimate concern at some point about, like, I might not actually be able to defeat Brown, and then I realized he was just a pushover, because I thought maybe he would have also gotten 3-3 upgrades, but he was still stuck on 1-1 the whole game, probably because he was a Brood War script. I guess I can open up the mission while I talk about this, for the express purpose of checking, because it is an SEM map, so I don't really see how it could have possibly been done that way. It looks like we have Protoss 9 Ground Zerg at Brown Zerg base, and... if I go to upgrade settings, because I don't think the Ultralisks were always running that fast, but they definitely got, they got chitinous plating, and yeah, the default isn't, yeah, okay, so it's not like it was made, it wasn't designed to be that way, so yeah, neither of the Ultralisk upgrades were enabled by default. I'm very confused as to how that even worked then. Pretty bizarre stuff. Perhaps they were... they might have been pre-placed heavy Ultralisks, because obviously in Brood War, the Tarask unit gets the upgrades by default. That might have actually been what it was. Let me actually go see if I can verify that. Yes, that is exactly what it was. Okay, that explains it now. So there were 3 Tarasks pre-placed there. I don't know if they had Tarask stats. They just died like normal units. I'm not going to bother reopening the map to check because I already closed it. But... that is pretty funny. Okay, so that explains why we had Brood War upgrades in an SCM map. All right, well, that was a fucking experience. Let's take stock of the 4th mission before we begin that. I can really only take this campaign in small doses. Oh, and this mission is has the funniest name, Iron Reich, by the way. So yeah, we didn't touch much on the fact that the random thing at the end, like, so the end of the 3rd mission closes out the story of the base being the impenetrable fortress for the Zerg being killed. That was what we first were hearing about from Man and the briefing of the 1st mission, and theoretically what we were working towards this whole time. Now we have nothing. We have nothing at all to go off of. The only way you could have done something organically from that, instead of just randomly rocketing us to some other narrative element, plot point entirely, is... if Man wasn't with us, he wasn't useful anyway, I don't know why the fuck he was with us. If Man condemned this and said, like, it would have been goofy and a carbon copy of Brood War's own, or the original StarCraft campaign with Aldaris, obviously. But if Man was like, nah, I'm not signing off on this, I'm gonna go get the Conclave, and then you would have had to fight Protoss, and maybe then you could have had this Armyrus guy show up more organically through that or something, because clearly there's something about Zolix that, Zolix and his mentor that Andrea Rose is trying to push here from a narrative perspective, but that just comes out of nowhere, literally undercuts the significance of the victory we just had, where then our next thing is telegraphed, but not in a way that was set up in any capacity. The closest you can call a setup for the Armyrus stuff is that Zolix mentioned Armyrus before, which is not really set up. It's just like talking about his mentor in like a one single line, maybe in the briefing of the second mission or something like that. So obviously from a narrative structure, this is actually just a joke. Like when I was giving Andrea Rosa some credit in the recordings of the first 2 missions, I was saying that he seems to understand writing at least dialogue and accomplishing multiple things with it, where there is some setup perhaps to some of the things that he's saying in the dialogue. But in this case, he's fallen completely flat. Like he just ass pulls this literally out of a hat, like rabbit out of a hat magic style, instead of it being set up beforehand that you're, going to try to, like, we're not even told that Zolix is like really broken up over not seeing Armyrus again or like really wants to. So even that part of his character just seems to manifest as when presented with the information. Now, it might be that that's natural because it didn't come up in conversation, but that's why you make it come up in conversation. More than just one throwaway line in a briefing when I'm snoozing because you don't have voice acting in your project because you don't respect me. Like, this is obviously like downstream of a number of different events where I can't even necessarily retain all the information because it's just text with a lot of proper nouns and stuff. And there's no real interaction, no real engagement, no understanding of like what's one character versus another. Like one thing that you don't have when you don't have voice acting, it sounds kind of trite to say, but it's you don't have voice. And it sounds obvious, but you don't have a voice for the character. So you can't really tell what's like one character or another unless you have really obvious inflections with how they write. Or it's a book and you have a long period of time to learn the tendencies of their speech patterns. That can happen, but this is not a book, this is a game. So I can't really like internalize all of this stuff to the same degree. That's why voice acting is so paramount in video games, because one of the main reasons why I would say is that it actually aids in retention. You know the character of a character by virtue of their voice and by how they deliver a line. And in this case, like they all sound like they're the same character because they don't sound at all. So that aside, it definitely feels like at this point we've gone straight back into like maybe Omen narrative territory and unlike the Allies, or just like general narrative territory where people don't understand the structure of a story. They didn't study it enough, they didn't practice it enough, and now all of a sudden it just comes undone because they were too lazy to really assess what was going on and maybe reconfigure some elements of their story. Now, it's especially inexcusable to me that there could be plot holes or poor pacing or shit that comes out of nowhere in the context of making a story where you don't even have to worry about voice acting. It's not like you've done the voice acting for maps 1, 2, and 3, and some of them were maybe external actors, and now you have to go back and change the script and ask them for retakes. That's not even the case here. All you are doing for the writing is literally just writing. That is it for the script. There's no extra production. So if you have to go back and change something, it's tantamount to changing something in a notepad file and then mirroring those changes in the map file, and maybe moving some elements around and adding more transmissions or cutting some or whatever. There's rearrangement and there's writing. There's no voice acting. There's no audio engineering. There's literally no effort necessary to make this make more sense. So the fact that we just get this enormous paragraph to set up the next story plot, like that might as well just be the stupid text crawls in Blizzard's own thing, or like the Star Wars stuff, where it's just an exposition dump in text as if I'm reading a book. That might as well be what that is, not only because you don't have voice acting, but also because it literally just comes out of left field, and it's very transparently there so that we can have more content in the campaign instead of it just being 3 maps long. The worst part is that even though that was the closest that I came in the third map to playing an RTS so far in the project, I still haven't actually been able to do anything of value because I'm not engaging with an enemy that actually is trying to defeat me. I'm engaging with an enemy that is serving as an obstacle to prevent me from winning the mission immediately, while also dealing with an enemy that is serving as a story element and is only there to occupy space on the map so that there can be a cutscene at the end, instead of either of the enemies on the map actually trying to defeat me, actually trying to complete some sort of victory condition. Why was the Zerg base there? The Zerg base that was so impenetrable that we had to go down some plot element rabbit hole and deal with some other gimmicks just so that we could emerge with 6 crystals, which is 3 times 3 minus 3, and then deal with the fact that we have to then do the same number of High Templar in the same positions. By the way, if you think that it was cheating that I spawned some High Templar in the beacons when I have the resources necessary to create them, it wasn't cheating. It was just speeding the game up, basically. That being said, the fact that we have to go throughout the whole thing, why was the Zerg base there if it wasn't even going to compete with me? If it wasn't even going to try to do something? Like, the Zerg base is there for us, for our character's sake. It's not even there for the Zerg's sake. It's not there because it serves a strategic purpose. It's not there because we can reverse engineer an obvious reason for it to be there. It's just there as an obstacle for our characters in the story. It's not there to further the goals of the antagonist, or the antagonizing force, being the Zerg in this case. It's not there for any legit reason. That's what the biggest problem is here, is that none of the enemies are there for their own reasons. None of the enemies justify their existence beyond being enemies in a video game, which is the entire reason you're making a story to begin with, to justify things in a context where they aren't just enemies in a video game. And you know what? They don't even justify themselves being enemies in a video game, do they? Because they don't serve as actual enemies, actual opponents that are trying to have their own victory conditions. It's almost like one hand washes the other in this scenario, where if you have a situation where a character in a video game is actually competent and defeating you, or threatening to defeat you, and forcing you to respect them as an opponent, as a player in a video game context, it's almost like if you add some dialogue onto that, and you have some voice acting that really shows what that character is made of, and you have some real genuine threat associated with the enemy, it's almost like when that happens, and you combine those elements with a competent enemy, that you get a competent character in the narrative that the player must respect because they know that they are competent in game. It's almost like these things are connected because this is a video game and not a book. Even if this were a book, the narrative wouldn't even hold up. And that's really the most damning thing about it so far. Now again, we still have 3 maps to go, so I'll take a bit of a break before I continue this recording, and then eventually we'll complete the whole thing. But I also want to point out, like, Iron Reich, really? I mean, there's some weird thing. Maybe somebody will actually be able to tell me about this. If you happen to be one of the weirdos that watched this unlisted video this far, maybe you can tell me about Iron Reich. Maybe you can tell me what's going on with Europeans and their seeming obsession with World War II. Like, these are Protoss. This is a Protoss campaign. Unless this is referring to some fucking space Nazis, which would be really funny and out of character, I would say, for Terrans in the modern era of StarCraft. I can't imagine what the fuck this is called Iron Reich for. It's like UED Todd's Ritter all over again. Oh boy, I had to look back at those screenshots that I took. You know, it's really funny because obviously, like, when you consider the idea that I'm spending so much time talking about these missions. I think I spent like 15 or 20 minutes just talking about story and stuff at the end of that, because I think the actual mission only took 45 minutes or so. The fact that I'm spending all this time and I'm still not covering everything there is to cover about all of the problems with the individual maps and stuff, that should tell it all. That should tell the whole story, shouldn't it? Anyway, Iron Reich, bigger space map, bigger map than the previous one. And we have 3 computer slots. Maybe there'll be an AI ally or something. That would be nice. Secret hideout. And it's a Dominion fringe world. Glad everything is spoiled in the mission objectives again. Oh, man. Why? Just tell your own stories, dude. This is embarrassing. I guess this is because Andrew Rosa made Enslavers Remastered and so wanted to justify... Oh! Okay. Suddenly. Sudden man. Battle of Arkham. Even this guy sounds kind of like the same way the Protoss were written. Here we go. We get some Protoss moralizing. This is literally, oh man, that line of dialogue might be the worst one in the whole project, dude. I wish I could pause the fucking briefing. Yeah, anyway, you fucking lunatic, you big baby. Isn't Garibaldi like the name? Hold on. Why would they gladly... Garibaldi is a guy who like contributed to the unification of Italy, so I wonder if there's some weird like critical race theory line of thinking going on here where this is leveraging a soapbox out of something. I thought Garibaldi was the name of like a modern day politician or something like that, but Jesus Christ. After that fucking random moralizing line of dialogue from this Gallicant, I can't take anything in this briefing seriously. Holy shit. The big gun. Can't you just fucking warp? Like, do you need to not be hiding behind a moon to warp? I like how this Gallivan guy... This would actually be more elegant if he just said elsewhere. And like at the same time as the previous battle or something instead of this. Like, why did he introduce Gallivan just to not have him be part of the mission? He introduced him in the previous mission. At the end. Out of nowhere. Alright, so I guess there's some Antigans or something. Wow, holy fuck. In case it's not obvious why it's so embarrassing that somebody would use a StarCraft vanilla custom campaign to leverage that platform, that limited platform, as a soapbox to decry humankind and moralize about using nuclear weapons. Maybe me just saying it like that can explain to you why it's ridiculous and patently stupid. Now, like, there's ways to subtly weave in human characteristics into Terrans, or into other species, as a matter of fact, and maybe present them in such a way that the viewer can come to their own conclusion about whether or not there's a bad thing, or a good thing, or nuance, or whatever. But that was just beating you over the fucking head with a frying pan labeled "Nukes are bad, MK." Jesus. Jesus. Oh my god. Man. Dude, that might have extended the length of the main video by like 15 minutes so I can just laugh for 15 minutes at that line. Holy fuck. Holy fuck. Okay, well, disable the big gun, as my brain is also. Use Jenkins to operate computers and perform special tasks. Armyrus and Jenkins must survive. Well, that sounds like AIDS. And the briefing continues. What a line. So this is a micro map then. I thought there was going to be a... Like, they said that the Antigans were like miners or whatever. Why is this random worker... Why is he...
I'm here.
Why? That looks bugged. Oh yeah, that is bugged. Good job. Dude, you managed to break the tiling in like the first screen of the game. Alright, well, I guess we'll do this. And I'll just scout. Should have scouted with the guy with, Oh.
I hear that. I'm all over it. I hear that.
Wish I could take that base, homie.
I'm gone. Never know what hit him. I'm gone.
And so many broken tiles.
Never know what hit him. Finally,
So what happens if I cloak?
never know what hit him. I'm all over it. I hear that. I'm gone.
Well, I can't interact with whatever that is.
What would you ask of us? What would you ask of me? For
Finally,
So I'll take a look over here and see what I find.
as you will. As you will. For ire.
All the same line, of course. I guess there was a controller or something.
For ire. Immediately.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck is going on over here, dude. This is some next level.
I'm gone.
Your command. Nakbagala. For ire. Immediately. For ire.
Reasonable. First aid kit.
Nakbagala. Immediately. As you will.
It's pretty embarrassing that
For ire. Immediately. As you will.
traps are indexed to a specific tile set and people keep using them elsewhere without modifying them.
Executor.
I'm here.
Executor. Your command. For ire. As you will.
I didn't notice.
What would you ask of me?
They weren't tough enough to prevent me from outranging them with a single man.
Immediately. Nakbagala. For ire. Nakbagala. As you will. For ire. Immediately.
Nice random animation delay.
What would you ask of me? For ire.
It's too bad there's no interaction here, huh?
Immediately. For ire. Nakbagala. Your command.
So they have 10 armor then?
You ask of me. For ire. Nakbagala. For ire. Nakbagala. As you will. Nakbagala. As you will. For ire. Engage the enemy. As you will. For ire. Nakbagala. Immediately. Nakbagala.
Why? Where's the gameplay? Where's anything?
Immediately. Nakbagala. For ire. As you will. For ire. Immediately. As you will. For ire. As you will.
I can only imagine what that does.
What would you ask of me? For ire.
What is the point?
Immediately. For ire.
I'm here. I'm all over.
Alright, well, I guess I'll go see what's up with the academy. Oh, this is a waste.
Immediately.
There's like no reason to even play the game. Oh. But I'm not even using my marines, so I think I'll probably not do that.
Immediately. Nakbagala. Immediately. Nakbagala. As you will. Immediately. For ire. Immediately. Nakbagala. For ire. Nakbagala. Immediately. As you will. Immediately. Nakbagala. As you will.
Ghost reporting.
Your command? As you will. For ire. Immediately. Nakbagala. For ire. Immediately. As you will. Immediately.
Well, I guess I can come back here for a first aid kit that may or may not recharge my shields.
As you will.
And just get random annoying transmissions. You know, the other part here is that we have to deal with the fact that, like... I think I have to wait for the music to end before this does anything, which is pretty embarrassing. Yep.
Security cameras activated.
Okay.
Finally. I'm all over it.
Executor, as you will. For ire, as you will. For ire, as you will.
Pretty goofball-y. There's some presumed triggers that are handling this stuff for them to actually do stuff, but it feels more like it doesn't. It feels very scripted, right? So I'm wondering what the. Yeah, that's a good one. Good job, Ahmed. I'm wondering what the point of it was. Like,
I'm here.
you know what I mean? Just waiting to see any point at all. So this is where we have to be careful of the
I'm gone.
man.
I'm all over it.
JK.
Finally. Call the shot.
He's pretty generous with these first aid kits. You know, I might have actually had to micromanage or something. Oh, okay. I guess that wasn't actually a vessel then. It was some stupid security drone rename flame knives. And I think that's everything. So my VIP man can do something. So my formation didn't last. Not that it really matters. The center views, while I'm theoretically potentially microing, are pretty ridiculous.
Never know what hit him. Never know what hit him.
I assume those were not spawned. It would be nice if there was a forge somewhere.
Ghost report.
Upgrade complete.
Oh.
Ghost
Okay.
report.
Upgrade complete.
Owned. Well, we've got that anyway. I guess that's something. I was hoping to get like tier 4 weapons so that I could start one-shotting Marines with this guy, but alas, it does not appear to be allowed.
Call the shot.
I think I will just lock this idiot down. Oh, it's 50 energy, okay. Doesn't appear to be any reason for concern here.
I'm here. I'm all over it.
So let me just snipe this first. There must be Rainers in there.
Ghost report.
In that case, I'll just pop over here.
Ghost report. I'm here. I'm here. Never know what hit him. I'm gone.
Unless it was just the angle. Sometimes that happens in Brood War. Yeah, okay.
I'm here.
Just goofball inconsistencies. No, no, that doesn't look like they have 10 armor. I don't know what armor they have then. Ahmed was very confused.
I'm gone. Never know what hit him. I'm all over it. I hear
Okay.
that.
I'll just cloak then.
I hear that. I'm all over it.
Oh, I guess that was lucky. Terran surveillance drone. I'll go ahead and kill this. I'm assuming there's another tank somewhere. Bit paranoid about more tanks. I guess there's an energy recharge over there.
I'm gone.
And yes, there is still
Know what hit him.
junk happening here.
Finally.
I guess I can just tank the shot. That shouldn't be that big of a deal.
Report. I'm here. I'm gone.
Whatever the fuck is going on with this pathfinding is actually pretty bad if you happened to be stationed over there.
What would you ask of me?
I'll go ahead and clear this out down here.
As you will.
Oh man.
Immediately. As you will. For ire. Nakbagala. As you will. As you will. What would you ask
Well,
of
I
me?
guess I can run over there.
Immediately. Nakbagala. Immediately.
I don't know, man. There's no gameplay, obviously, still, so... Big surprise.
Teleportation field activated.
I'm all over it.
Your command?
So I guess I can teleport with anybody then.
I'm gone.
Because it's not a computer.
What would you ask of me? As you will.
What?
Hunger for battle.
Was I not close enough?
Executor. For ire.
Oh, the first aid kit doesn't work on him. Okay.
Your command. For ire.
I'm here.
Deactivated.
Don't say that. Well, now that I know that he's the only one who can get healed, I'll just do that instead. I'll tank with him and treat the other guy like the VIP. He's also getting some shields back, but it's not by much. Imagine this actually being a situation where they're using a big gun against you and you're, you know, playing a macro map or something. That would be pretty cool, huh? Pretty cool if we had some gameplay. I wonder if I can cheese this by getting close enough. That would have been the only way, probably, so. He died of everything.
Hunger for battle.
I'm all over it.
Alright, well that wasn't necessary, but... Oh, I see. Still, tanking with the ghost is always comical. So now we've got, theoretically anyway, a threat from someone. The same sound effect over and over again is pretty grating, not gonna lie.
Executor. As you will. Immediately.
Finally.
Immediately.
Oh, goodbye.
Call the shot.
Awaiting instructions.
Security cameras activated.
Ghost reporting.
I guess we have access to this the whole time, but... They're not even mining.
What would you ask of
He didn't think of everything, did he?
Executor?
Call the shot. I hear that.
Your command?
See if I get pelted with tanks on the way over.
I'm all over it. Ghost reporting.
See ya.
I'm all over it. I hear that. Never know what hit him. I hear that. Ghost reporting.
Man, Shox is gonna be so happy if he watches to this point.
What hit him? I'm all over it. Never know what hit him.
What would you ask of me? Receiving.
I'm here.
I really don't know what the point is of giving us these people. They're not even necessary. And there's no seemingly no immediate way to
As you will. Executor?
do anything about them, so...
Immediately.
Ghost reporting.
Upgrade.
Oh, I could have gotten tier 4. Well, that's fine.
I'm here. Never know what hit him. I hear that. Never know what hit him.
Alright, we get some more health kits.
All over it.
I am needed. Executor?
I'm here. Never know what hit him.
What would you ask of me?
Ghost reporting. I'm gone. Call the shot, Commander.
I hunger for battle. What would you ask of me? As you will.
Very surprised there's no tank anywhere. I guess there's no immediate way back in for it. So. I wonder where those units are coming from. I guess theoretically we could be able to annihilate them. I don't even know where that tank was. Oh, it's up here. Easy.
Your command?
Call the shot. I'm gone. Never know what hit him.
What did you ask of me?
You'd think that maybe this would explain why there are no citizens, except why have there been no citizens up until this point? Oh, too bad that guy didn't pick up the first aid kit.
Ghost report. I'm all over it. Never know what hit him. I'm all
I don't
over it.
know why we have this. I guess we get vehicles later.
Call the shot. Never know what hit him.
Warriors have engaged the enemy. What did you ask of me?
I'm here.
Brutalized.
Finally.
I don't know how I missed. I guess that was the miracle.
I hear that.
Alright, so
Never know
I guess I'll
what
just
hit
pick this up because I'll probably not be back here anytime soon. I guess I'll scout out over here as well, see if there's anything worthwhile.
As you will. Knock Bagala for ire. Your warriors have engaged the enemy.
Oh my god, Ahmed. You're RNG. Bing, 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 bing.
For ire.
Okay, that's it.
Immediately. Knock Bagala. For ire.
Broken. Again. Yeah, all of this stuff is like, you know, people discovered terrain blending in like 2004 or something like that, so...
For ire.
Not turning any heads exactly.
As you will.
Finally.
I guess I'll hockey this. We can get it in a moment.
I'm here.
As you will. Immediately.
There we go.
For ire. Receiving.
Alright, there's probably a tank over here since that's usually what happens with these surveillance things.
I hear that.
Yep.
I'm here. I'm all over it. Call the shot. I'm all over it.
Lockdown lasts an eternity, so this isn't really that big of a concern.
Ghost report.
Executor, I am needed. What would you ask of me? For ire.
Ooh, boy.
Call the shot.
Front lined with the wrong man.
Executor,
I'm here. Never know what hit him.
Well, at least they, we know where we're supposed to be going.
Over it. Never know what hit him. I'm all over it.
A Wraith.
Call the
I
shot.
can't sneak over there. Ghosts are usually pretty tight, but I suppose those corners were accounted for.
I hear that.
your command.
Just go ahead and attack with this.
I'm gone.
Instructions. Instructions.
Got up ahead a little bit. What else we got? We got a Goliath coming. We'll want his range, the main guy's range for that. I guess I can actually get him up here and attack into this. Wraiths are large when unmodded, so
I'm gone.
should be pretty easy to kill.
Your warriors have
Oh.
engaged the enemy.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
I'm all
So I'll bring him to him.
What would you ask of me?
Call the shot. I'm gone. Never know.
Ready to see a miracle?
I'm here.
I hunger for battle.
I'm here.
What would you ask of me?
Maybe this doesn't actually work in this tile set. I think it does.
Your command?
There he is! He did it!
As you will.
Pathfinding at its finest. Going down should be a bit easier, I think.
Executor Nakbagala. As you will.
Yeah, much easier. Alright, we'll go grab this. I think this is more secure. Oh no, this is probably for the force field, isn't it?
Your warriors have engaged the enemy.
Finally.
Wonder why their force field beacon would be outside of the force field. Almost like that doesn't make any sense. Almost like should have thought better, homie. I also think this mission would be a lot harder without the permanent reveals of the cameras, but
I'm all over it.
not harder in a legitimate difficulty sense, but just annoying.
Finally. I'm here. I'm all over it.
You can get some upgrades pretty soon. I'll just keep getting weapons at this point.
I hear that.
We already bopped a tank, but there might be another one behind there. What does this lead to? Okay, nothing of import.
No one hit him.
So I'll come in here and start sniping some dudes,
I'm all over
since it's not like they reinforce or anything.
I hear that.
Unauthorized entry detected.
Okay, maybe they'll do something now.
Awaiting instructions. What would you ask of me?
Call the shot.
No, they just started spinning. Oh, never mind. Jesus Christ. Talk about an unforced error. Alright, I guess I just need to escort the...
What would you ask of me?
Give me some ghost report.
Wonder if these are just like stragglers from other parts of the map or something. I guess that could be the case.
Immediately for ire. Immediately.
Ghost report.
This is pretty much just... Oh, this he activated his AI, so he is actually training some units now. That's what's going on. And managing his units. I don't even know if there's units in this bunker, actually. It's pretty funny.
I'm gone. I'm here.
Yep. Didn't think so.
No one hit him. I'm all over it.
Your warriors have engaged the enemy.
Jacked up and good to go. Finally. I'm gone.
Uh-huh. So that's why this exists. I did keep some cash, so should be sufficient to upgrade if we need to. Also, we have access to unlimited numbers of money now if we want to just keep killing his units as they come out.
Receiving.
Standing by.
The Ahmed Defense Shuffle. A forbidden technique. Requires 6 Ahmed crystals. 6 chicken nuggets. I like how the scale of the campaign has collapsed so much that now we're sitting here talking about a single tank being really impactful.
Upgrade complete.
Oh, we can't go past 3. It's not allowed, I guess, even though we can go past 5? Yeah. It's pretty crazy. I don't know if we really care about armor in the same way. If we lose it, it's not like it's the end of the world. We can use it to bait out their tanks, though. They have this, like, built-in response, which is pretty funny. Oh, I can't attack their buildings. That's a bit of a complication. I guess that was kind of foolish because I can't attack buildings. I guess I can't bait out tanks then? I don't see that much... I mean, the fact that everything is invincible means that I can't actually stop them from training more men, so I just have to make a bum rush for it, I'm pretty sure. So, we will lead the charge here into hostile territory. Just pop that, because it's not necessary.
Upgrade complete.
There's an unfortunate loss of DPS right there. Alright, just walk up here. I guess they're bounty hunters, they ran out of them or something. Oh, they reused the same fucking sound effect. Where the fuck did the Antiguan guys even come from, though? You know, I did think that maybe he would use the same sound effect, but I decided that would be too dumb, so... Alright, well, I think it's time that we just try to get out of here, and we'll leave the tank here for the sake of punching reinforcements, even though it's only got like 1 HP or something. Because at this point my man is very low. It'd be pretty embarrassing for him to die in the last moment. I think we can get out, though. It's just a trap over here, and then we're free. Good thing those SUVs are invincible.
As you will. For ire, as you will. Nakbagala. I hunger for battle.
Well, yeah, because you moralized. Oh, man. There's not really much substance to these characters. They're just... It's kind of like playing on tropes we already know about. So be it. So be you. So another plot element or character choice that has occurred off-screen and exposited to us through enormous paragraph of voiceless text. I like how he says sparsely informed, but he agrees with him. Like, come on. Don't say that. Don't say that. Don't say, like, I know a couple of details. I read some headlines, and actually...
Receiving incoming transmission. Comlink established.
Imagine the Emperor of the Dominion responding to a specific governor as well. There's like no chain of command. Also, just like the Gorn transmission, it's just like, oh, something's gonna happen here. That mission made me a little sleepy, and I just woke up before recording this, so there's definitely some tears happening, that's for sure. Alright, well, I guess that'll do it for this recording. We'll be back with the last two maps, and hopefully they're better. I don't have high hopes!